Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Jonathan Pogash, the Cocktail Guru. It is an absolute pleasure to be here with you today during our wonderful virtual happy hour. So I'm very excited to be able to present a couple of cocktails to you and to be able to chat with you a little about cocktails. Hey, why not, right? I mean, everybody could use some cocktails. I always say that, especially these times. And I hope, first of all, everyone is well, everyone is safe, everyone is healthy. Those of you who are joining me from the Cocktail Guru page, thank you so very much for joining me. Those of you who are joining from TeamBonding, thank you so very much. I'm partnering, in fact, with TeamBonding today on this very special virtual happy hour. So I'm super duper excited about it. First of all, just to give you a little bit of background on what exactly we'll be doing. So we've also partnered with this wonderful company called Cocktail Kits to Go. And I will be demonstrating a wonderful old-fashioned cocktail for you. And this is a beautiful kit that has most of what you need to create an old-fashioned. How about that? That is absolutely wonderful. If you don't have that kit, that's completely fine. I will also make an old-fashioned with some of the ingredients that you might already have at home. Also, please don't stress if you don't have a particular ingredient. We can always substitute an ingredient here or there. That's what I love about cocktails, especially about making cocktails at home. I love being able to substitute what I already have and experiment and play around. Absolutely. So without further ado, I'll give you a little bit of background on cocktails and maybe a little bit of cocktail history. How about that? How does that sound? Sound good to everybody? Yes? Awesome. Thank you so much again for everyone joining. If the comments come up, there you go. Oh, Paul says Luxardo cherries. You better believe it. And I'll talk about the Luxardo cherries in a second. So I am seeing comments. I'm very glad that I'm able to see comments here. Okay, so little bit of cocktail background. So I started off as a bartender and I worked my way up in New York City behind some of the best bars in Manhattan. The Russian Tea Room was where I first started, where I kind of started off behind the bar. I was a bar back, and then I eventually was promoted to be a bartender. And it was a huge experience for me, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. I was also able to work with my then fiance, now wife, at the Russian Tea Room. So that was also quite a treat. And so this was really at the resurgence of the whole cocktail trend. Cocktails were coming back. We were starting to use great ingredients in cocktails. We were going towards classic cocktails. Of course, we cannot have the classic cocktail renaissance without Dale DeGroff, who is kind of the epitome of the modern mixologist. Hey, thank you. Thanks, TeamBonding. Great to work with you too. So Dale brought us into the forefront of the modern day cocktail resurgence. Now, the old-fashioned cocktail in particular has quite a bit of history. And before I make this old-fashioned cocktail, I would love to chat with you about the history of the old-fashioned, if that's okay with you. But first of all, so I went to school for theater, and I also moved to New York City to become an actor. And so doing these sorts of demonstrations, doing these classes, doing team building mixology classes, corporate team building mixology classes with TeamBonding is an absolute pleasure. I have an amazing team across the country. And although we're not able to do this face-to-face in person, we are holding these amazing virtual happy hour experiences that you can actually book privately now. So I'm super excited. Just contact the folks over at TeamBonding. Hey, Donna, thanks for watching. Just contact them and we'll be able to set something up. So I started, when I was very young, I watched my mom cook, and that's really where my sense of flavor started coming into the forefront. My father was in the wine and spirits business, and that's where I was able to sort of gain an interest and gain some experience in the industry. And the old-fashioned cocktail was always one of these mystical cocktails that intrigued me and that I always loved to imbibe in. When I first started off as a young bartender, and now even to this day. Now, the history of the cocktail is super duper impressive. Very, very impressive, ladies and gentlemen. So, believe it or not, the word cocktail, now we're geeks about this. If you could see my bar, you know, I obviously have quite an array of ingredients. This is my home cocktail bar, so welcome. I have an array of ingredients and some cocktail books right in this corner over here. Some old, original classic cocktail books and some new cocktail books. So, The oldest printed mention of the word cocktail, hey, Bobby, good to see you. The oldest printed mention of the word cocktail was from 1806. That's when it was first defined, okay? And I happen to have a book that has some information on the old-fashioned cocktail. This, my friends, is the Mr. Boston 75th Anniversary Edition, Bartender's Guide. Happened to be edited by myself, okay? Shameless plug. Now, the old-fashioned whiskey cocktail. Okay, here we go. So in 1806, this is an upstate New York newspaper called the Balance and Columbian Repository. Allow me to read you a little excerpt from here. Hey, Fred, 1803, first mention of the word cocktail, and then 1806, this definition that we know of today as the cocktail, okay? Here we go. As I make it a point never to publish anything under my editorial head, but with which I can explain, I shall not hesitate to gratify the curiosity of my inquisitive correspondent. Cocktail, then, is a stimulating liquor composed of spirits of any kind, sugar, water, and bitters. It is vulgarly called a bittered sling. So that is very important to think about, very important to realize when we are crafting cocktails. A lot of folks say that the old-fashioned cocktail was invented at a Louisville, Kentucky establishment called the Pendennis Club, but that is actually not the case. So here, the definition of the word cocktail: sugar, water, spirit of any kind, bitters, right? That is the basis behind an old-fashioned cocktail. Now, what's happened since 1806 all the way through the 19th century to the end of the 19th century is that people were making different types of cocktails, essentially. They were doing a whiskey cocktail, a brandy cocktail, a gin cocktail. Now, it was the Pendennis cocktail that really popularized the old-fashioned whiskey cocktail. And that's because folks would go into the Pendennis Club and say, we would like the old-fashioned cocktail. Now, the old-fashioned way of making a cocktail, which was spirits, sugar, water, bitters. So that's where the term old-fashioned started coming into play. People would walk in and want the old-fashioned whiskey cocktail. So a little bit of cocktail history there to kind of spark your brains and energize your minds. But let's go into the cocktail making here. Hey, Justin, yeah, the old-fashioned is my comfort food. Yes, that is absolutely the case. Same with me. What I've been doing these past couple of weeks is, first of all, food-wise, it's all been comfort food. Chicken pot pies and biscuits and all of these things. And cocktail-wise, same. Old-fashioned. Negroni is also one of my favorite cocktails. Whiskey sours, whiskey smash, gin smash. Okay, so here we go. So let's go ahead and open up our kits. So those of you at home who have your kits, this is what it looks like. It says old-fashioned cocktail kit. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up. You have a little recipe card right on top there, and we'll follow that recipe. Plus, inside your kit, you have some sugar cubes, you have some bitters, and you have this little mixing spoon. This is a cute little spoon, which is actually a 1/4 teaspoon measurement, okay? So let's go ahead and take our sugar cube, our spoon, and our bitters and our recipe out. I have my glass. Technically, ladies and gentlemen, this is called an old-fashioned glass. It is different than a rocks glass. You may have heard of rocks glass. The rocks glass is a little bit smaller. An old-fashioned glass is a little bit bigger, okay? Hey, Kelsey, good to see you. So let's go ahead and put one of our sugar cubes right inside of here. And after I do this, I'm going to make another version of an old-fashioned if you don't have this cocktail kit at home. And that's completely fine. Don't worry about that. Okay, so I also have a little bit of water, about a teaspoon of water right inside here. I'm going to take my little bamboo spoon and just press that sugar cube down so that it starts to dissolve. I'm going to stir this around just like that, okay? And it is starting to dissolve in the water. That is awesome. That is beautiful. There we go. Now we have the bitters, and it says 1 spoonful of the cute little bottle of bitters that they give you. And we'll just pour that right out. Now, anyone know what bitters are? You may have seen bitters in the supermarket, like Angostura bitters, for instance, which is what this is. I actually have a bottle of Angostura bitters. It is an overproof spirit, usually higher in alcohol content than most gins and whiskeys and definitely vodka, and aromatic ingredients, traditional bitter and healing ingredients. Bitters were originally created by pharmacists in the 17th, actually 18th and 19th century to treat medical ailments, usually digestive issues. So bitters were technically medicine first, and then introduced into cocktails early in the 19th century, early 1800s. So let's go ahead and just mix that around, the bitters, the sugar, and the water. There we go. Beautiful. And if we follow the recipe, now add your whiskey and ice. Bourbon or rye. You could absolutely use bourbon whiskey if bourbon is your whiskey of choice. I love rye whiskey as well. Great alternative. Now, the difference between bourbon and rye, it's very, very simple. To be called bourbon, it has to have at least 51% corn. To be called rye, it has to have at least 51% rye. Now, easy way to decipher or to think about the flavor profile between the two is cornbread versus rye bread. Okay, so cornbread is a touch sweeter, rye bread is a touch spicier. And that's really what I like to think about. And what I also love teaching folks, the difference between bourbon and rye. Now, there are so many different characteristics involved and intricacies involved in the flavor profiles, but that is just a very simple way of explaining it. So we're going to add our whiskey. Or if you don't want to use whiskey, you actually don't have to. You could use cognac. You could use tequila. You could even use rum, or you can even use gin. That's what I love about old fashions is you can easily make a variation on an old fashioned using what you already have at home. I'm going to go ahead and use my bourbon whiskey. So I'm going to add, there we go. There's my beautiful jigger, my beautiful copper jigger. We'll add 2 ounces of our whiskey, bourbon whiskey, directly into the old-fashioned glass. And now we add our ice. If you have ice from your refrigerator at home, that is great. This kind of ice from your refrigerator freezer, great. Go ahead and fill your glass with ice. I happen to have these beautiful clear ice cubes that I'm going to use if you don't mind terribly. Now we'll give it a little bit of a stir, just like that. Stir it around for, I'd say, about 20 or 25 seconds. That will give you the proper dilution of the ice. Now, ice is a very important ingredient in all mixed drinks, right? What does ice do? Can anyone tell me what ice does? Hey, Stephanie, thanks for commenting. Good to see you. Can anyone tell me what ice does? It provides water in your cocktail, and also it provides the proper temperature for your drink. So you want the proper amount of water, proper dilution level, and the proper temperature, okay? There we go. I'm just going to do that. Oh, that is lovely, my friends. That is absolutely lovely. Now, garnish-wise, you can use a citrus peel. I love using fresh lemon peel and a fresh orange peel. So I'm going to go ahead and peel myself a nice long swath of lemon, just like that, and a nice swath of orange, just like that. Oh, beautiful. I can smell the citrus oils, and really that's what you want in your cocktail. You want the oils that are on the skin of the citrus. Hey, John. Oh, yeah. John says make it cold. Kelsey says chill it. Absolutely. So let's take our orange peel, skin side down, squeeze it over the glass, rub it around the rim, drop it in. Same with the lemon, skin side down, rub it around the rim, drop it in. And if you have one at home, a beautiful Luxardo cherry. I'm not a fan of those bright red fake maraschino cherries. Personally, I don't think that they taste great. They're somewhat artificial. If you're able to get these beautiful, nice Marasca, real Italian cherries, definitely use those for your old-fashioned. And that is a beautiful old-fashioned using that awesome, convenient cocktail kit. Okay. So now let's go ahead and make one with ingredients that you may have at home if you don't have this cocktail kit. Let's go ahead. So first of all, I'm going to pre-stir my cocktail and then strain it out over the glass. I actually prefer an old-fashioned that has a little bit more dilution to it and has been stirred with ice first and then strained into a glass that has ice already in it. So I have my beautiful etched Japanese mixing glass. You may not have this at home, and that's completely fine. You can use a regular pint glass, a regular mixing glass. You can use a mixing tin. You could even use a milkshake shaker or one of those energy shakers. That's completely fine. Whatever you have at home. Again, we're all about being resourceful and using ingredients and tools that you already have at home. All right, so I'm going to use rye whiskey actually for this one. So we'll go ahead and pour our 2 ounces of rye whiskey directly into our mixing glass, just like that. And instead of a sugar cube and water, I've actually pre-melted my sugar and made simple syrup. And simple syrup is just sugar water, right? Equal parts sugar and water. Very simple, as the name suggests. I have my little bar spoon. I'm going to put 2 little bar spoons of my simple syrup. You could also play around with different types of sweeteners. I've done maple syrup old-fashioned. I've used honey in my old fashions. If you use honey in any kind of cocktail, you'll want to pre-dilute it with a little bit of warm water. Okay, that's because if you stir or you shake something with pure honey, that it will sort of congeal to the ice. It will stick to the ice. So dilute it with a little bit of warm water, and then you'd have a really nice honey syrup that you can use as an alternative sweetener in cocktails. And my bitters, I actually have orange bitters over here. So I'm going to do 2 dashes of orange bitters, and I'm going to do 2 dashes of Angostura bitters. By the way, this bourbon and rye, this is a beautiful bourbon and rye from Vermont, local New England. I love it. Okay, there we go. And that is it, my friends. So I'm going to add a little bit of ice. And you may notice that I am adding my ice last. I'm not adding ice and then pouring the liquid ingredients on top. Can anyone tell me why that is? You may know, you may not know. Yes, John, Japanese mixing glass, exactly. So the reason being is I want to be able to monitor the dilution of the drink, the ice, right? And if I put my ice in and then my liquid on top, it will start to pre-dilute. This way, if I do the liquid first and then the ice, I'm able to monitor and stir for approximately 16 Mississippis, which is about 20 seconds or so. Lovely. Oh, that's beautiful. And I have my ice cube, and I'll pour this right on top, just like that. And if you don't have these ingredients at home, just to give you a little note on the flavor profile of an old fashioned, we call this a spirit forward cocktail, meaning it does have mostly alcohol in it. It's not like a margarita or a whiskey sour where you will taste the spirit, but you may not taste the spirit as much as you would with another. I don't like this little lemon peel. I'm going to do another one. There we go. The spirit forward cocktails, right? So we've got our lemon peel, squeeze over the top, rub it around the rim. We have our orange peel, squeeze it over the top, rub it around the rim, just like that. That looks beautiful. I can smell the aromatics. I have another maraschino cherry. We'll place that right on top. Now, I'm going to do a little bit of double fisting here to give you the lemon and the orange zest. I really wish that you can smell this. Okay, so this first one, the first old fashioned from the cocktail kit, the drink is holding out really well with this ice. I get the aromatics, I get the bourbon, the bitters. It's lovely. I can taste all of the ingredients. It's just a touch sweet from the sugar cube. The bitters perfectly complement everything in there. You know what bitters tend to do? It sort of marries all of the ingredients together. Now this one, again, get the aromatics. Using the rye versus the bourbon, a touch on the spicier side. I even get some cocoa and coffee notes in there. And it's really lovely to see the difference. Now, you know, this one had a little bit more dilution, so it's a little lighter on the palate. This one a little less. But of course, you can stir this as long as you'd like until it gets to your preferred dilution, your preferred balance. So like I said, the old-fashioned cocktail, you can use a variety of different bases. You could use tequila, you could use gin, you could use rum. It is an absolutely lovely and engaging cocktail. Actually, you can have it with food as well. And that's what I love about cocktails and food in particular. I love pairing food and cocktails together. Now, what I'd love to do is just give a little toast to Sophie and Daniel at TeamBonding. You guys are amazing, and the amount of work and dedication that you've put into TeamBonding, everyone is super thankful. Good luck on your journey. Cheers to you, Sophie and Daniel. Thank you so very much. I'm going to cheers to that. It's delicious. These cocktails are delicious. These kits are amazing. Like I said, we look forward to being able to meet in person and to provide team building and team mixology experiences for your company, for your private events. But for now, virtually, we do these virtual happy hours. So get in touch with TeamBonding and book a private virtual happy hour with me, and we will have loads of fun. And these cocktail kits are amazing. They give you the ingredients that you need except for the booze. So you use the liquor that you have at home. And they have several of them. Throughout the month of April, every Thursday, Thirsty Thursday, okay? We will be doing these virtual happy hours, and you'll be with me, and you'll be here in my cocktail lab, and we will make some various cocktails. So next week, we have, in fact, I'm super excited about this, the Gin Smash. That is going to be awesome next Thursday right here, same time, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, on the Cocktail Guru Facebook page and on the TeamBonding Facebook page. I want to give you a little bit of cocktail trivia right now before we go. How do you feel about that? Yeah? Okay, good. So here's a little bit of cocktail. I have a couple of questions, okay? And those who answer correctly may or may not get some sort of a prize or shout out from me. Who knows? Okay, here we go. Ready? What is the most popular cocktail in the United States? Okay, I know John is looking to partake in this. He says yes. That is not an answer. That is an exclamation. What is the most popular cocktail in the U.S.? Okay, do you have it in your head? You may not be able to respond in time, and that's okay. Okay, the most popular cocktail in the U.S. is, drum roll please, brrr. Oh, John says the Cosmopolitan. I'm sorry, it is not the Cosmopolitan. It is the margarita cocktail. Donna says the gin and tonic, the margarita cocktail, okay? 60% of all cocktails ordered in the U.S. are margaritas. I love margaritas. They are delicious cocktails, and I know how popular they are, and I remember when I was behind the bar how popular. Yes, Kelsey, the margarita. Kelsey got it right. Congratulations, Kelsey. Oh, John says he knew it. Of course you did. Okay, so here we go. Ready? Here's another trivia question. Okay, so this television show made the Cosmopolitan famous. Okay, this television show made the Cosmopolitan famous. Here we go. Anybody? There's a little bit of there's like a 10-second delay. So I'll wait a few more seconds. This television, John got it right. Sex and the City. Yes. Congratulations, John. That is awesome. That is awesome. Good job, buddy. Good job. And Paul also says Sex and the City. Awesome. Okay. Here's the last one. Okay. Donna also got it. Amazing. Okay. Last one. This famous author made the daiquiri famous. This famous author made the daiquiri famous. Okay, anyone know? This is a great story if you don't know it. I'll tell you the story after we figure out what the cocktail is. John, my friend John. Yes, Ernest Hemingway. Ernest Hemingway is the author that made the daiquiri, and Paul got it. That made the daiquiri famous. John and Paul, you guys rock. Yes. So the daiquiri cocktail was invented in Cuba, and Ernest Hemingway spent a lot of time in Cuba at one particular bar called the El Floridita Bar. The El Floridita Bar was said to be not necessarily the inventor, but they popularized the daiquiri because of Ernest Hemingway. If you go to El Floridita bar in Cuba, they actually have a bronze statue of Hemingway going like this at the bar stool that he would always sit at. I love this. And Hemingway always had his daiquiri as a double. Of course he did. Of course he did. A doble. And the bartenders over at the El Floridita bar called him Papa Doble. Now, he popularized the daiquiri in its frozen form. Originally, the daiquiri was not made frozen, but Ernest Hemingway had his over crushed ice. And here's another story. Ernest Hemingway was a diabetic. Okay, so he did not want his sugar or his simple syrup in his daiquiri. So instead, he had grapefruit juice and maraschino cherry liqueur in his daiquiri. Now, it's probably worse even than having simple syrup as a diabetic, but that was his drink, and he always had it over crushed ice, and he popularized the daiquiri cocktail. Okay, well, that is it with trivia, and that is it with this little virtual happy hour. If anyone would like more information on how you could do a virtual happy hour similar to this with your friends, with your colleagues, please reach out to TeamBonding, and we will set you up. And this is just so much fun. Thank you again. I welcome you to my cocktail lab. This has been great. Old-fashioned cocktails, a little bit of cocktail trivia. Until next Thursday when we do the Gin Smash, please follow TeamBonding. Please follow the Cocktail Guru. And this has been an amazing experience. Cheers to Sophie and Daniel on your next journey. And to everyone over at TeamBonding watching, cheers to you guys over at the Cocktail Guru watching, and everyone who's going to be watching afterwards. So thank you, cheers, and have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Take care.